Hello, chess friends. It's time for another 15-10 training game. So here we go. Up to 1844. Let's see if we can continue the climb. Crack 2000 on chess.com. It's kind of my most recent goal. Gotten close. And I know I could get there if I just like dedicate some time and play some serious chess. I spend a lot of time playing Blitz, keeping it fun. Overall, I want to keep chess fun, and I think you should. Just do whatever keeps it fun for you. I see sound is off. Let's turn sound on. We're going to play a Sicilian. Yeah, Blitz is very fun, but I do want to improve overall, and I know that longer time controls are the way to do that, improve calculation, and really think about ideas. Blitz is the death of ideas. I think I heard some grandmasters say that. Oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't quite see that too much in open Sicilians. The bishop just doesn't like, yeah, it does an okay job on this diagonal, I guess. I suppose his immediate goal is just to get castled. Um, Maybe go for some like Grand Prix attack style, tuck the bishop in behind. Bishops here are pretty powerful. I like those bishops there for white. It's enough to make me want to get back into the open Sicilian on the white side. Um, just to prevent this idea, this quick f4 idea, I think maybe the knight development first to attack the central pawn, see what he wants to do there. Normally, I'm inclined to develop the queen to c7 relatively quickly, but move order seems important here to just kind of control white's ideas, and I think the knight development first. Let's attack the undefended pawn. Okay. Well then, we'll just take back. Now we have, our 2-on-1 in the center. That's theoretically the point of the Sicilian. I want to have a 2-on-1, and now he's just let me bring another pawn to the center. And I really don't get this move. Why move the bishop a second time to defend the pawn? Why not just develop the knight to do that? My opponent seems to be, I don't know, a little flustered out of the opening. I'm inclined to develop my bishop and get castled, maybe. I think get the dark square bishop out. Or another idea may just be to challenge the center immediately. With d5, that gives him the opportunity to trade, open up his bishop, but then I've got a 2-on-none in the center. And I really have a chance to control the center there. I don't want to neglect piece development, though. feel like my bishop belongs here, so I'm gonna develop pieces and carry on. So now I have the opportunity to castle. But maybe running into a pin. So I'm inclined to maybe get the queen out first. Queen b6 forms the battery on the f2 square. It also attacks b2. So he's got to do something about that first. And without the knight developed, with the threat of coming to a4, the queen doesn't look bad on b6, but maybe c7 still. Maybe queen c7. Preventing any pawn pushes. What does the queen b6 really get me? I'm not really threatening to take on f2. I would need another piece. The knight would have to get involved. And there's no support on g4 yet. I'd have to go pawn to h5. So let's go queen c7. I want to stop this idea of pushing the pawn. And that may encourage him to swing the rook over and back it up, but that does weaken f2. He goes ahead and pushes his bishop out to g5 anyway. Am I worried about him taking it? If I allow him to take it, I open up the g file, and that's not terribly scary. I think maybe bishop to b7 is the place, is the move. Um, just kind of further aiming towards the king side, preparing to swing the other rook over to the king side, because I don't think I'm going to castle. I think I'm just going to step up with the king probably. But I'm not really worried about him taking. That just gives me an open g file. So I'm going to go bishop b7 and say, take my knight. I dare you. I dare you. He doesn't want the knight. Wants to swing back around and attack the queen. Okay. If he brings the bishop back, I've got this bishop move, which frees up the pin on the f2 square and takes. And then rook e1 doesn't look as bad because f2 is there's no more pressure on f2, and then he could be threatening the fork between the knight and the queen. So maybe I do attack the b2 square now and entertain ideas of taking there. If he pushes to try and protect, I could maybe go bishop to d4, attacking the rook. That would prompt c3 attacking the bishop, and then I've got bishop e5 threatening the h pawn, bishop g3, and then just takes, maybe takes. No, there's still a queen here, so he'd have to take with the h pawn instead of the f pawn. And I like that. I think I like that. Let's threaten the b pawn. This is why we want to get our pieces developed. If this knight was here, I would not have that move. I want to keep up the attack. Still, I want to castle into this because then taking opens up my king, and I think my king is safer in the middle right now. He does have the option of protecting it with the queen, putting the queen on the dark squares, and that frees up my knight to hop into g4. He can't kick it with the f pawn, so he might be tempted to kick it with the h pawn, but then I just go h5 and say take my knight, and if takes, I'm threatening the bishop. Bishop retreats. I don't know that I get a whole lot out of that, except the open H file. I'd have to lift my king, lift the rook, swing the other rook over. That's an idea, but it's a lot of moves. I don't know if I have the time to do all that while still keeping white on his heels. We'll just see what naturally develops. He develops the knight. Okay. He does. I think that's the good move. He says, take my pawn. So if I take the pawn, he's got knight here, threatening the queen and bishop. So I think good for him for defending it tactically. Maybe bishop here. Where knight here is met with what? Don't want to give up my bishop pair. I think this bishop move, eyeing up b2 also, could be threatening to take the knight, but this pressure on f2, I'd really love to maintain that as long as I can. If he attacks my queen, then I've got a knight on the edge of the board at least. I'm sticking him with a knight on the edge of the board. And I can simply retreat my queen. Although that may run into bishop f or bishop g3, attacking the queen again. Okay. He sticks his knight on the edge. What about queen a5? Queen a5 attacking the knight. He could defend by kicking my bishop, opening the queen. Then This move saves my bishop, invites f4. Maybe bishop back to c7. And what's that knight doing over there on the edge? I like that position, all right, I think. Let's attack the knight. Okay. f4, kicking the bishop, bishop c7. Oh, he attacks the queen. He attacks the queen with some tempo. Hmm. He's going to support his knight and my light square bishop, but that's not the end of the world because my light square bishop is, a weaker piece at the moment. But queen c7 does invite f4 immediately. And because otherwise I'm attacking the h2 square. I'm down to under 6 minutes. Opponent has 13:10. I got to keep an eye on the clock. Queen c7, f4. Oh no, because then the bishop comes back and then I've got a fork. Yeah, he's got a fork of my pieces. So I've got to bring the queen all the way back to d8 or I get forked. No, wait. No. He doesn't have f4. What am I smoking? Queen c7, f4 just gets taken. That's why we calculate, friends. That's why we calculate. He wants to challenge my bishop. Now that is a threat. So I want to take it. And do I want to push the h pawn? Or do I want to castle? I feel like pushing that h pawn looks very nice, but that can wait. And maybe I want to just keep the knight out of a good square and push d6. Control the knight. Don't want to give my opponent good squares. I want to try and force him to leave this central pawn on a light square to keep his bishop bad. And this h pawn push can come at any time, so I think this was the better move. Now I am really just considering stepping up with my king to connect my rooks rather than castling. I have a very strong central presence. Opponent's pieces are pretty discombobulated. His pawn structure, not the worst, but not the best. Doubled pawns on the king side to play against. And this backwards pawn here. I'd love to get some play against the backwards c pawn. Where do I want my pieces? If I could lift up the pieces and put them anywhere, where would I put them? think I like the idea of pushing the a pawn, opening up the queenside rook over here, giving it a little life. If he takes or if he pushes, either one, he's going to get disconnected pawns. And I can play against those weaknesses pretty easily. So if he ignores, then what? It is his move, so maybe I should be thinking about his best options. He needs to create some life for his knight. His knight's awful over here. His bishop isn't much better. Okay, he decides to create a light square pawn chain, which really, okay, it keeps my knight out. Makes his bishop so terrible, though. Um, that's surprising. That's a surprising move. Weakens this pawn tremendously. What about challenging the center now? I know I just moved it a single square. He's changed his structure. Is it worth exploring? I give up this good outpost for the knight, allow him to make his piece a lot better and target my bishop. I wouldn't really be threatening this pawn because my queen would be stuck to the defense of the bishop. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Opponent has 10 minutes, 30 seconds. So let's just improve our pieces. Let's slowly develop. Let's get our rooks in the game. Um, decide where I want my rooks to be. I do like, maybe I should have pushed this pawn first because now I think I might have given him the choice, the option to come here. And now if I push the H pawn, okay, well, you didn't do it. What's his MO here? The knight's hanging. The knight is hanging. So let's threaten to open up the queen side over here and play on the queen side. I don't want to trade bishops because his bishop's a worse piece, I think. Mine is behind this pawn, but once I have the opportunity to move it, my piece comes to life, and his is only looking this direction. All right, so when I take, he wants to take back to defend his knight. Okay. What about repositioning the knight? I'm not going to wait any longer to launch this pawn. Flank attack. I'm going to launch a5, a4, and start threatening to break things up over here. Interesting. He wants to jump in here with the knight or the queen. If I do this, we're going to do this first. Maybe the knight back here first to keep these two squares controlled. He took it. Okay. Now he doesn't want. I'm going to reposition the knight. So I've given up a pawn and allowed him to undouble, but I have an open file to play with here now, and I like open files very much. Very, very much. Push the C pawn, takes. I don't end up looking very good out of that. Bringing the pawn back to the middle, and that drives the bishop back, unless he wants to defend, which he could do. That does free up this pawn push now. The more he's pushing those pawns, minute 45. I'm feeling the pressure now on time. Okay, we're gonna threaten to open up more. He can take. I'll swing my rook over. Don't think he wants to expose his king that much. He'll have this pawn push. And I'll just redeploy. And he's gonna have to be careful, because if I can get this opened up, he wants to trade queens now. Wants to trade queens now. I don't think I want to do that. Keeps my bishop defended. Maybe ideas of someday getting over here to the H file, but that's a minute. That'll be a minute before that happens. Takes my pawn. Get to open up my bishop. He defends. Seems like the natural course. I lift my rook. This is king. I stack rooks. My attack may be fizzling here. He gets to challenge now. He gets to take control of the file that I had, and that was my strong suit. How do I make this happen now? Hmm. Minute 30. I don't know if I'm getting out of this alive. Minute 5. This looks painful. Painful. All right, I'm gonna open up my queen. I think that's the only. You can just like do this though. Where'd I go wrong? Where'd I go wrong, YouTube? Tell me in the comments if you've already seen it. I'll of course go back and analyze, but 50 seconds left. I think I've dropped back on my heels. I don't think there's anything better. Ah, I wish I had a little more time to calculate. But it happens. I suppose I trade pieces and try and hold an end game and pick up one of these pawns over here. That's nasty. 45 seconds. Opponent has 8 minutes. So I'm gonna try and drive the queen out. Although she's moved voluntarily now, so the bishop's pinned. Let's unpin the bishop at least. Force a trade of knights. That frees up my queen. Maybe I can make some magic happen there. Maybe I can trap the queen. Oh, my queen's attacked. My queen's attacked. Don't lose your queen, Walling. Looking perilous. Perilous. He checks. I come up. Oh, wait, can I get a draw out of this? Did he just give me a draw? If he opens this diagonal, I've got checks. I've got perpetual checks. Or maybe more. It's pinned. Oh, it's pinned. I've lost the pin. I wasn't thinking about that. All right, good game, friend. Good game. I self-pinned by taking. It felt like a pretty good game, but I played it like an 1800, which is right at where I'm at. 4 mistakes. Let's see where I went wrong. Because it was fairly equal, although I never had the edge. Black never had the edge. That's a book move, really. That bishop move is a book move. I'll have to study that line. That was a mistake. I should have just immediately challenged the center. A slight edge for black here. A mistake. Full pawn mistake. And it wanted me to just come back with the bishop anyway, which is why the bishop move was a mistake to begin with. And I'm just in the weeds here. Miss on his part. He should have gone with f4 immediately. We're basically in an equal game. I should have started with h5. Now h5 is a mistake. And it looks like a steady climb from here for white. So my mistake that cost me was really pushing both flank pawns and not committing to one side to keep my focus on. I have a majority in the center, and I probably should have just been playing in the center. So back here, instead of the king push, just pushing the pawn instead of trying to commit on both flanks. Since he's got an exposed king, pushing on the H file and maybe even castling queenside to connect the rooks. No like tactical blunders on my part, just outplayed strategically and I didn't have a good plan and I give up pawns. That's just a free pawn done to try and open up the file, but I don't have anything really going here. Gets to roll pawns. Maybe in hindsight here, just I know this is attacking the pawn, but simple king lift and then the rooks come over to challenge. About back here. Pawn move is the best. Challenging this. Shouldn't have brought the other rook. I should have lifted this pawn to defend it with the queen. Doesn't that run into this though? Hmm. Well, what if, like, if I push this, That says it's just a flat out mistake. They wanted me to, why pushing this? Because this and so F5 is good. Followed by knight takes F4. What? Knight F4 check. Knight F4 check. Defending the pawn of the rook. Takes. I assume takes was the critical line. It is. Takes. And E takes, and I'm down a rook. Why can't king take H3? What if king takes H3? White still has an edge here. White's like just doing very well. I can pick up the pawn, I guess. Oh, that's an ugly position. I guess I am threatening instant mate. So what does white do? King H4, threatening the rook. That does start to look a little scary for white. F6 defending. Bishop H5. Giving a hidey hole. That's G4. That's not H5. H5. Then what about queen? Oh, if the queen comes over, I lose the bishop. To check, and the queen's coming over to take the queen. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, friends. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you all watching my videos. I know they're a little longer than you typically get on YouTube, but I appreciate any support. I'm using this just to basically review it myself and notice my own, thinking habits, and I hope that other people find it helpful. Come back and enjoy some more chess with me.